Hey, this is Tina with Content Creators Club. I'm so excited to do this tutorial on how you actually upload a voice memo to Airtable. I've looked literally high and low on Reddit, on YouTube, on Google, and I couldn't find an easy solution in order to do this. Usually it required some level of coding in order to upload to voice memos to Airtable, or required like a shortcuts app on your iPhone, and just it was a lot of steps, and I just couldn't find a proper solution that made it easier. So I decided to build one. And so basically, like literally with the automation that I'm going to show you, all I do is just I set it up once, and then I let the automation take care of pretty much everything. But all that's required on my end is I just press record, and then I send myself an email, and then once when the email gets sent, it triggers my automation to upload into Airtable and to do other things with the voice memo. Now, a couple of things that you're going to need in order to make this happen is you're going to need the Otter app on the iPhone. I personally really like the Otter app because it's super easy to use. Now, if you can use another app, which is totally fine, but you want to make sure that you're able to export the audio in MP3 or MP4. Otherwise, this automation will not work. So I use the Otter app because it allows me to export in MP3. And it's also a really great app in terms of like doing a voice memo and then exporting the file and just transcribing the file. We don't really use the transcriptions but as much in this automation, but yeah, we're going to show you how to do it in an alternative way. And so another cool thing is that you get the first 300 minutes free with Otter and on the app. I think other apps, they require you to like buy their software or buy their app. I don't really like that. So if you want to also like help me out and I help you out as well, if you download and sign up with my referral link, I think you get a free pro access to the platform. So that's really cool. So go ahead, help a girl out. But basically all I do is I use the app and I press this little voice icon here that we have here, and then I go ahead and automatically records. Now, if you're someone who wants to take it a step further and like say for example, you're using these voice notes in like actual files or in like actual content, what I'm really going to recommend is for you to get a microphone. I personally use the DJI mini mic, I think is what it's called. It's like 50 or 60 bucks on Amazon, and I literally just like hook it up to my clothing, and then when I'm doing walk-in talks or anything like that, I'm just pressing record, and then I'm all good to go. Now, this is something where personally the whole reason why I wanted to do voice memos to Airtable is because I wanted to create an audio letter version of my newsletter in Content Creators Club. So this was kind of like I needed an automation to make it super easy where all I can do is just like record and then upload, but I didn't want the audio to sound like shit, so like I use this mic and it's really easy. And I recommend using, I think the mic mini is what it's called. Basically the way that I determine it is get the mic that actually is connected via Bluetooth, not the mic that you have to connect to your phone. I didn't really like that, and I think it's too many extra pieces, so I just like that this connects as a form of Bluetooth and it's all ready to go. So basically my workflow is I do walk-in talks with my newsletter. And so all I do is just like I press record, and then once when I'm done with recording, I end it, I pause it, I stop it. And then basically what I really like about Otter is that it has all these like transcriptions. Again, you're not really going to need it. The only reason why you're using Otter is so that you can export a file into MP3 or MP4 format. If you were to use the voice memo app on iPhone, it's not going to work with this automation because it does some weird download file. It doesn't like export an MP3 or MP4, which is kind of really annoying. But all I do is I press this three icons or the three dots here, and then I select export. And then once when you export it, you want to select export audio, and then you are going to email yourself the actual audio file. And so the moment that you email the audio file to yourself, this is where it triggers the automation that I'm about to show you in just a second. But basically, like I set up this automation once, and I let everything else, all I have to do is just record and then upload, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so if you're using Airtable, you're probably already familiar with Airtable, but basically you want to make sure you have two columns. You have the transcript column and you have the voice memo column. in your Airtable database. And then I have this Zapier automation that I'm about to walk you through in just a second. Now, you can feel free to review this video and build everything from scratch, but if you want to make your life easier and you want to support this creator out here, literally I've packed these 2 templates for you in my voice memo to Airtable. It's literally $9. Made it super simple, super easy for you to just plug and play. So I'm not going to walk through the specifics on how I actually did all this. This is where I feel like the templates are going to help you with that. So basically I have this right here, and that's kind of like get into the actual Zapier automation, which is really great. I really like Zapier because it's super simple, and I don't need to like code in it. I don't need to use like the shortcuts app. I think that's just way too many steps. So like I said, literally all you have to do is just upload and send yourself an email, and then that's pretty much it. So when I export the audio, let's kind of go into, we'll edit this up. So I go from here. But basically I send it to my email. And so basically you want to make sure that you set it up so that you have a trigger event where new emails matching search. So what that means is that what Zapier is going to do is it's going to review your email and see, hey, like, look for an email that is going based on the search that you're finding. And so I say, hey, find an email that's from this specific email account, and then cool. And then we go ahead and have the records here as an example. Now, another thing that I will say is that the matching search is kind of terrible on Google in terms of the Gmail app. So what I like to do is I just like to use Zapier as a form of me actually finding the search. And so I use Filter by Zapier. I believe like this task in Zapier is free. So like, why not use a free task? And then basically what I try to do is like look within the subject line, and then if it's the subject line contains this thing, I just put it in here. The reason why I have notes as the text to contain is because when I actually export the audio and send myself an email, in the subject line, it will automatically include notes. So I know that if it's coming from Otter, then it's going to be and have in the subject line note. So the way that I did that here is I press here, and then I find like the subject line, click subject, and then contains note. And so it looks like this is going to run through. Then you're going to need an OpenAI account. You could use ChatGPT, but I personally like OpenAI. The reason why I like OpenAI is because it's cheaper than ChatGPT. I don't know why people are paying monthly subscription for ChatGPT when you can just use OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT, and just go ahead and do that, right? So if you have an OpenAI account, you can go ahead and actually just do that and just like use that instead, and you will pay basically by the amount of times you like call on their connection. And this connection, I mean API. Now again, like cost wise, I really think it only costs you like cents to do this rather than you pay a monthly subscription or pay for an app that doesn't really work with your workflow. So I use OpenAI to do this. So connect your account, and then the action event is going to be to create transcript, configure, and then basically I go ahead and upload the file. You're not going to actually see the file, but it says all attachments exist but not shown. You're going to go ahead and select that. And I actually want the output of this file to be an SRT file because it will actually show me the timestamps of the file. So this is where I said earlier, where like you're not really going to use the AI transcripts from Otter. You're really only using it as a free app in order for you to just like export it and email yourself an MP3 file. Cool. So we already pre-tested this, and this is an example of how it looks. I really like it. And then we're going to go ahead and go to Airtable. And what you're going to do is you're going to hook up your Airtable account. I'm not walking through these steps on like how to set this up. I really think it like Zapier has better documentation than I do. And it's fairly simple to like actually just connect your accounts. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an action event to create record. And so this is where like we're going to go ahead and call upon this voice memo database to really do this. Now you can build this database from scratch, or you could just get it for $9 on right here. So just making your life easier. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and press continue. And then, like I said, we're going to call upon this database, make sure your Airtable is hooked up to it, and then you're just going to find the database that you're looking for. This one's voice memo database. You're going to reference this table 1. I think of like tab, table, make your life easier. That's how the naming convention works in my mind. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead, grab the output of this content and then put it in here. And then take this voice memo from here, all attachments, and then just put it here. Now, again, this is the reason why I say to use the Otter app as opposed to the voice memo app, because if you were to use the voice memo app and do this mechanism of just upload the attachments, the way that the voice memo on iPhone natively like exports to your email, like it will not upload to Airtable. So this is why like you need an MP3 file or MP4 file to make sure that you're exporting that file so that you can actually upload it into Airtable. Trust me on this, it's taken me a very long time to figure this out. And I'm doing this video so that it makes your life easier. And then basically we go ahead and press continue. We test the record. And then as you can see here, we already went ahead and did that here. And then what's really cool is that you can see the file. And then you can actually, like obviously I talked a lot on this voice memo, you can actually just play the file. So I have like a 19-minute voice note. I think that's pretty cool in terms of like it was able to transcribe everything. And then you can play it and then you can just go from there. Now, let's just say like you want to take this automation a step further and kind of do the use case of what I did of like, how do you create an audio letter? How do you actually just like make your voice notes into newsletters? I've been able to do that with a separate automation, just adding a little bit more steps into this. Just a little bit of an example of like what it looks like for me. With the extra steps that I've added, I've been able to basically create this content for my newsletter. And so I'm able to create like names of like what the content should be about, and then all I have to do is just upload this content, and I get the summary, I get some highlights, so it actually like timestamps everything for me, which is pretty cool. And then I actually have a call to action here. So basically, like if you're looking to add to this voice memo piece and you want to create an not automated, but you wanted to create an audio letter, but you wanted to automate the creation of like all the content of the audio letter, then this is really cool and this is super easy. And so when all I have to do is just like go into this, review it, and then just edit it a little bit here and there. And then I just send it to my virtual assistant to schedule it for me, or you can just upload it to your email service provider, and it makes it super easy. Now, if you're wondering where to get that, in addition to the voice memo to Airtable for $9, you can go ahead and get the pre-sale of the audio newsletter automation. It's a one-time fee of $100, but basically I'm going to show you how to basically turn your voice memos into an audio newsletter, which is really cool. And what I really like is that there's going to be this bonus that I'm going to walk you through on like how you can create like your own audio letter podcast database. It's not going to be a podcast because like I don't really like to have like a full-on podcast. I feel like that's way too much work. But if you wanted to have like an internal podcast with your like newsletters listeners, then I'm going to show you a really cool way on how I create some sense of urgency where people actually open my emails, and the moment that they open it, there is like a timer of like, if you want to listen to this newsletter, then make sure you grab it, because by the end of the day it's going to be gone. And so I've automated that process as well. And I showed you a little bit of an example here as to an example of how this audio newsletter is created for me. And I have timestamps. I have linked to the audio as well. It's really freaking cool, and it saved me so much time. So I hope that you really enjoy this, and I hope to see you on the inside. And that's all I got. But Hopefully this automation helps you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!